right, now for our new and regular segment called The Smart Money. From government shutdowns to the Ryder Cup, people are using sites like Kalshi and Polymarket to bet on news events. And as we've noted in the past, these prediction markets have had an impressive record of correctly indicating what's coming up. In just the past few hours, we've witnessed some remarkable activity. NewsNation's Hannah Doba has the story.
Prediction markets are sending a very different signal than the headlines this week, and the gaps are striking. Let's start with politics. After the Kirk assassination, Republicans have been talking about a political reawakening. Voter registration data even shows a bump, but the markets are not buying it. On Kalshi, contracts still price Democrats with about a 2-to-1 advantage. 65% odds of taking the House in 2026 compared to 35% for Republicans. For all the noise, traders are holding steady, saying they'll wait for real data before shifting those odds. The bigger moves are happening inside federal agencies after Trump's EPA chief went on Fox News calling climate change a con job. The odds that Trump would order the EPA to stop operating didn't just nudge, it skyrocketed from about 10% to 60% almost overnight. And when Trump abruptly canceled millions of dollars in school grants, the Department of Education contracts spiked the same way.
You better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
The markets are telling us that policy disruption at the agency level is seen as the most immediate impact of this administration, far more volatile than the odds on who controls Congress. And then there's foreign policy. Trump's decision to slap a $100,000 cost on H-1B visas, a move widely seen as derailing Asian immigration.
Sort of like a signing bonus in baseball or football.
It sent India's markets into a nosedive.
We love the Hindus. We love India.
The odds of Trump making a trade deal with India this year are stuck at 13%.
And the chance of him even visiting India in his first year is at a record low. Compare that to Israel or France, where the probabilities are higher. And you can see how traders are recalibrating America's international priorities. So the bottom line here, markets are cutting through the chatter. They're not reacting to the voter registration buzz. They're laser focused on where policy is already shifting, inside agencies and in immigration. And right now, traders are betting that's where the real action is.
All right, the wisdom of the crowds. I want to zero in on one of the topics that Hannah just hit on there, and that's the midterms and Republican voter registration. And joining us right now is NewsNation political contributor and Princeton University political scientist, Dr. Lauren Wright. What do you make of the fact that the vast majority of people on Kalshi, at least, still think the Democrats are going to win the House back next year in the midterms? 65% of them. That's despite all the uptick in voter registration we've seen for Republicans in the last 10 days.
Well, history would be on their side, Elizabeth, but betting markets are really interesting. They're a bit of a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, there's more information than a public opinion poll. People are willing to put their money, their resources behind these guesses. But as we know from horse racing, car racing, sports, whatever you like, a long shot can be very financially rewarding. And so you do have to bake in a bit of risk there. I do think, if I had to guess, Republicans will keep the Senate, will lose the House. But if these redistricting efforts are successful, which they do seem to be, they've got some wiggle room there.
It is worth noting that since the 1950s, the president's party has lost an average of 26 House seats in the midterms. I mean, it's just a matter of how big, as Obama called it, the shellacking is. Democrats only need 5 or 6 seats to flip the House their way.
Exactly. And in 2022, they did much better than they thought they would, with an unpopular president and high inflation. And so that might give Republicans some hope there. But I would bet on history and the track record, probably, if I had to, Elizabeth.
We've seen many reports that Democrats are facing a voter registration crisis. According to the New York Times, at the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats have lost ground to Republicans in every single state. But Republicans are making very strong gains with Gen Z.
Yes.
This goes against everything we've ever seen historically. Young people usually register blue and then turn redder as they get older and more experienced.
That's right. And so the danger with, over counting on those young voters is they don't turn out a lot of the time. And I'm not saying anything against young people. I spend all day with them a lot of the
teaching
time.
them.
Yes, but they only vote in general elections about half the time. And in the midterms, that's like a third of the time. So if those young Republicans turn out, and they might be very energized and they have a lot of good messages behind them, that could be. But again, what we know from recent history is young voters do sometimes, they can be a little unreliable, Elizabeth.
Super quick, Lauren, what do you make of these prediction markets? Do you think, I mean, obviously people aren't just betting, they're doing some research if they're going to plunk down some cash.
I think they tend to be a reflection of all the information we have already. And so they can be helpful, but over-reliance on them, I think, can be a little dangerous.
Sort of like over-reliance on polls. Don't do it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right.